wiped off, so I had to modify the caption as well as the photo. All right. So first and foremost, I want to try to summarize this up better anyway, because I was kind of like all over the place the first one anyway, so I ain't even really mad for real. However, the last live, I was talking about an encounter that I had with these very strange men, whose spirit told me these men were druids. All right. So these are the druids. No offense, but as you can see, you don't see not one black druid. Another thing too, click on this one, to pay attention to is their attire with the white robes, right? Now, you always have, they always have a little marketing people in place, right, to help cover their shit, make them seem like something that they're not. Oh no, let's make it look more godly and, good, opposed to what it actually is. So there's a page that they have where they're trying to mansplain. They're trying to explain why we understand the relativity of what we wear, what we deem as sacred wear, opposed to what the KKK wear as well, and how it can be offensive for them to wear that. However, they support, anti-racism. And it was very short and to the point and brief, and just like a little disclaimer for publicity purposes, but it wasn't truly sincere. So anyway, that's just a sidebar. So I was doing some research just about Druids, to understand this energy better, as well as talking to Lake Lanier spirits, because I went there this weekend. Me and my partner went swimming, because I wanted to be there just to pay homage and to channel the energy there, like, because usually when your spirit is being called to a place, it's because you got some ancestors or some spirits there that want to communicate with you or through you, right? So I went there, I took my cards, but I didn't even get the chance to pull my card out, because we was just more so focused on swimming and just I guess being in the moment, right? Definitely aware, vigilant and cautious. Because when we first got there, they basically turned it into like this whole recreation thing, right? So mockery. These people are making a complete mockery out of what the fuck occurred on those grounds, which was a huge unnecessary massacre rooted in envy and jealousy, greed, right, and gluttony. So when I first got there, because I'd never been there before, I didn't even know that they had all that stuff built over there. I mean, water parks, beaches, resorts, golf course, of course. And golf, that ain't no black people shit. That ain't no black people shit. Them little balls. Anyway, all that shit over there. Thousands of boats and ports and stuff like that. Like, they just created their own little Disneyland or some shit like that. On top of where these people's whole livelihood, right, where their whole community was massacred, covered in water. So, I don't know right now why I'm hearing, I spit on your grave. Spitting on these people's graves, the grounds where their children were slayed, their parents were slayed, their loved ones, right? Not only that, pissing there. Think about what people do in lakes and stuff like that. right? But this is talking about how insulting it is when it is their DNA and their energy on these lands and these waters with this arrogance, right? And nobody being honest about where this stuff really came from, how they really obtained this wealth here, right? So there's a place in Georgia called Druid Hills. When I was doing my research, it connected me not only to the KKK, the Druids, but also to a large list of unsolved lynchings and not even knowing who the names of the victims are. So there's thousands of victims out there who were lynched, right, in large communities of white people. Like, saying like it'll be twice as many white people standing around to witness and watch this happen, while all these black people get, you know, chased down, treated like dogs and animals, and be murdered, right? So all of this history, all of this energy, there's consequences for it. But these people think that just because time has went on, so many years, so many decades have went on, you know, we are more welcoming to black people and other races. We have the economic control. So now there's nothing for us to be cordial, compassionate, considerate to them, right? Because they're not gonna, there's no way, like, we done structured everything so much so it's gonna be fairly challenging for any of them to gain access into, you know, this financial wealth and stuff like that, or these riches, right? So apparently there was this guy who was lynched. He worked for this white-owned taxi company. They found his car abandoned across the street from where he was found, and his body was found in the lawn of a prestigious doctor over there in that area, like Springdale, but Druid Hills, like close to Druid Hills. So there was some black people who got together and created a monument or a memorial in honor of the man who was murdered. But then they went on to talk about all the other lynchings that occurred or used to be hosted publicly for the public, the white public or whatever, in Georgia, and how a lot of those people, we don't even know their names. So these are the energies that's communicating with me. These people who were murdered, and it's like their lives were just wiped away. Wiped away. So what I was saying on the last live before they cut it out, when I was there, I kept finding feathers, right? Feathers, and then like shells and stuff like that. I was getting messages about the marine life, something about the marine life as well. I don't know why I'm hearing this, but something about you can reincarnate into anything, and something about some of those marine creatures being reincarnated ancestors who were murdered. When you find feathers, like if you're guided to a place, when you find these feathers or things like shells and stuff like that, right? These are just, you know, little tools that you can take back with you so that you can channel the spirits, like even when you're no longer in that location, right? So this is just a good communication tool, you know, to communicate with the spirits of that place. So they gave me a lot of, I think I came across at least 5-6 feathers, me and my partner. But something about your presence when you go to these locations too makes a difference when it comes to the karma being amped up or justice being served, or something about your presence being on those lands, something about you going there or going to places like this whenever you're called, something that it does. So I want to read y'all this before we get too far into the video. These notes that I took when I was just talking to them, communing with them on last night. I'm going to read through everything and then I'll break everything down. So I got Tower, Entry, Genesis 10:10, Babylon, Babel, Nimrod, Ezekiel 8:5, Coming In, Entrance, Ace of Pentacles, Kahithel. That's the angel I mentioned on the last read, that rules over second house. Taurus. So 808. I had a very fluid dream last night. And at the end of the dream, and it was like a lot of Egyptian messages, but at the end of the dream, I remember seeing this face, and at the top corner of the photo of whoever this person was 808. And that's how, you know, the dream ended. So something about that number as well, or just abundance, right? With the Ace of Pentacles, with Kahithel, you know, they came out behind each other. All right, so something about my brother or your brother, somebody's brother. And then it says son of Benjamin. That makes me think about Joseph. So some significance about dreams. Jealousy of prophetic gifts or abilities to lead a land or some shit like that. Being jealous of an inclination to lead or something like that, like being a compassionate leader. So that's why I got my brother, son of Benjamin. All right, Genesis 46:21. Something about their desires or our desires and our requests concerning justice here. Then we got Psalms 21:2. Something happening this year. Also something happening the next super moon, which is December 23rd. And that's going to be the Beaver moon, I think. But some significance about these areas. Well, it was focused on Lake Lanier, but something happening there on the super moon, the next super moon. So we got right after that, it says brother of death, or brother is death. So something about a death angel. Then we got Levite 222. Chronicles 6:25. Like I said, I'm gonna read through my notes and I'm gonna go back, right? A great son, chief of various tribes, right? So that's why I was saying something about being jealous of an inability to lead without having to be arrogant or so consumed with power that you basically you're not community minded or something like that. No longer being community minded, but working from the sole intent of just to obtain pleasures of the flesh. But being jealous of those who can lead, like who can intend and create and lead with dignity and integrity. Okay. Something about being jealous of the leaders in the community, and the fact that it was self-sufficient or self-efficient, or killing off all the doctors, the leaders, targeting the leaders or like the people so that they can have a self-sufficient community. So I don't know, but that's something about targeting the doctors. Targeting the doctors, or like people who could heal others through holistic means, because that's what came out as well. So something about white people coming into like these completely well thriving black communities and trying to kill off like their most significant people in place just to keep the land functioning, so that they can be the main ones, so that everybody have to go to them and go to their hospitals and, you know, use their chemicals and this, that, and the third. So that was another reason why they killed off all these people, because there was a lot of intelligence, a lot of high intelligence amongst these people. And they said they compared it to Atlantis. So Atlantis had came out, an empire. All right. So this was an entire empire. It wasn't just a neighborhood where black people happen to be at. No, this was an empire that they've overthrown here. Okay. Brother of Death, brother is Death, Levite 222, Chronicles 625, great son, chief of various tribes, the same name. So something about someone with the same name, or maybe the name, something to do with the name of the island, or the name of this place, something about the same name. Let me see where this name actually come from, because I don't wow. Okay, so the meaning and origin of Lanier, is French, Dutch, and English. Occupational name for someone involved in the wool trade, from an agent derivative of Old French wool. For a pack driver. And then, oh, so it also means an ass or a donkey. What the fuck? Now, when I was pulling cards, when they was talking to me, Japanese and Chinese came out and French came out. So something about Japanese, Chinese, or the French having some type of involvement in this overthrowing. And from what I'm seeing now, also Dutch and Englishmen. Wool. Okay, wool makes me think about sheep. That ain't the only thing it makes me think about, though. It makes me think about black people's hair. You know how they describe Yeshua as having hair like wool? So it said that the French, Dutch, and Englishmen were in the wool trade. This is what Lanier, the word Lanier, this is its meaning and origin. An occupational name for someone involved in the wool trade. So I don't know why donkey's ass is here too. So I don't know if this is like something to do with hair. I don't know why they're making me think about hair, like hair trade. Because I know people sell all kind of hair, like not just human hair. People sell horse hair, all type of shit. Like they shave sheep. I don't know, but something about that. The origin of this name. I'm trying to figure out, how does this have any connection to what, the people who are actually, whose DNA is in the lands, like in the soil and the grounds. I don't know what that has to do with anything. If anything, this is just telling on themselves. So something about telling on themselves because of their bravado-ness, or like their arrogance makes them tell on themselves because they want the accreditation so bad. So something about paying attention to these names of these places that you're being guided to, you're being called to investigate or speak up on or will justice in, or co-participate, co-create with the divine. So something about paying attention to maps, paying attention to the landscapes, the names, or something like that. Okay. Then I see it says, where does the Lanier family come from? France and England. The origin of the Lanier name is France and England. The Laniers were musicians for the king and queens of France and England for 3 generations. The Laniers were also French Huguenots who fled to England. What the fuck? Damn, a lot of them motherfuckers came here, ain't it? But that's what it means. Alright. Sidney Lanier. Named for Georgia poet and musician Sidney Lanier. Lake Lanier was created in the 1950s when the United States Army Corps of Engineers built Beaufort Dam for purposes that included flood control, power generation, and recreation. It is the primary source of water for Gwinnett County. Wow. Something else they told me too, this is not the first time that they do this. They said that some theme parks and amusement parks are built over graves. Yep. It says the lake was created in the 1950s by flooding valley communities that contained a cemetery. Fueling believes that it's cursed. Historians say some unmarked graves and other structures were swallowed up by its waters. Oscarville, Georgia. What? 27 victims who have died over the years at the lake, but whose bodies were never successfully recovered. Wow. So this lake run as deep as 160 feet. Okay. So what I'm getting is, and it's very matter of factly to the point that chaos theory energy, right? Like, how can you expect to massacre an entire people, including their children, their families, this, and the third, and y'all think that y'all can safely and securely just go swim in these waters, party in these waters, do whatever the fuck you doing above these graves, like nothing is not going to happen to you, like you're not going to reap what you sow from your ancestors, right? So the military, they did tell me about the military as well yesterday. So they're receiving the karma. They're receiving a lot of karma in their militaries, their police forces, losing a lot of like I noticed in Georgia, like it seemed like every police location is hiring, right? So they're experiencing all kind of loss and destruction in their police force, because it's like, who the fuck really needs you? Like, why would we really need you? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But when you're trying to kill off like all of our protection, all of our men, this, that, and the third, it's the same concept to what they did to those people, right? They wanted to kill off the doctors. They wanted to kill off, the healers.